You're listening to the Clutter Fairy Weekly, a weekly webcast and podcast brought to you by the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas. If you'd like to participate in one of our live webcasts, please visit cfhou.com/weekly. You'll find a calendar of upcoming webcasts, as well as instructions for joining the Zoom meeting via the app or by phone. We'd love to see you. That URL again is cfhou.com/weekly. Now here's the weekly episode. Enjoy.
Hi, Clutter Fairy fans. This is the Clutter Fairy Weekly for November 25th, 2025. I'm your co-host, Ed Gumnick, and I'm speaking with Gayle Goddard, certified professional organizer and owner of the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas.
Hi, everybody. Clutter Fairy Weekly is the webcast and podcast that digs deep into the clutter that piles up between you and the life you want to be living. We explore the habits and behaviors that lead to clutter, and we suggest strategies to slow the accumulation, reduce the collection, and comfortably manage the stuff we decide to keep.
If you're new to our Zoom meeting, we want to let you know that you can share your comments and questions via the chat feature, and I'll try to make sure Gayle addresses them before we move on to another topic. You can also use the raise hand feature if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment yourself via audio or video. And we're streaming the webcast live on Facebook, so you can share questions and comments there, and I'll relay them to Gayle. We're going to start by talking about last week's weekly tittle, which is called Safety and Mobility Check. The assignment was to conduct a quick audit of potential safety and mobility hazards in your home and make a plan to fix any issues you find. Let's hear from our participants in Zoom and on Facebook. Who made their home a little safer, and more accessible this week? Please let us know in the comments. YouTube viewer TrueMax33 shared a tittle report and a comment on last week's video. TrueMax writes, "Our laundry room is also the entrance to our house from the garage. It is super dark, not having windows, when the lights are off. After a close call, I forbade anyone in our household to sort their laundry there."
I see that underlying the problem.
Yeah, I could see that story there. Yeah,
the pile of stuff on the floor, right?
TrueMax goes on to say, "We have two fire extinguishers, one in the kitchen and one in the office, so they're not both in the same area of the house." She says, "Night lights with sensors are wonderful. I know my way around fairly well, but two dogs can change that in the dark."
Yes, it can.
She goes on to say, "We have stickers in the windows to let emergency workers know that we have two dogs. And we have discussed in detail about exiting the house by door or windows in an emergency." And finally, she said, "I'm rethinking the placement of our Christmas decor totes when they're not in use."
This is a very well thought out list of preparations you made to be more safety conscious. I like the sensor lights so that the dogs are more visible while you go around the house in the dark. I've actually tripped over a dog in the dark once, and that's the first time that I really wrenched my knee very badly. They love you, but they like to herd you around. So good to have lights that help you be able to track their movement a little bit better. Christmas decor totes being more out of the way is always a good thing. I'm guessing while you have all the Christmas decorations out and the totes are sitting there empty, I can see why you'd want to sort of keep them close, but better that they're not, an issue that you have to climb over in the house. So that's a good thing.
Right.
The only thing I'd add is some kind of lamp in the laundry room. So since it's so dark, as you've said, there's no windows in there. And so when you come into the house and it's a completely dark room, that's a problem. And so either turn on the light, leave the light on when you leave the house, so it's on when you come home in the dark. I've got the same problem, and coming into the house through a totally dark room is difficult. And so I leave a light on over the kitchen sink that's right by the laundry room when I leave the house, and it's enough light for me to safely enter. And good that you're thinking consciously about these things. Like you've been thinking your way through it. You're preventing an accident or some kind of disaster it's a hard thing to prove. There's no way to show that these precautions have stopped an accident. That's like a negative result. The negative result is you're not hurt.
Right.
And so it's hard to prove that you're not being hurt as a result of your precautions. But the alternative is having an accident because you didn't do something that could have prevented it. And it's not really worth the lesson, learning that lesson the hard way by having an accident and go, oh, I should have left the light on when I left the house. That kind of stuff. You don't want to be sitting there with an injury going, darn, I wish I'd done that. So, do your best and see if you can't prevent some disaster. Thanks for sharing your list. It was really helpful.
Lisa Beth says, I replaced a ramp and cleaned up from some construction projects.
Oh, that's good because construction projects is like a collection of shrapnel on the ground that's designed for somebody to twist their ankle on. So good for you. That's
Um,
good.
Jacqueline says, this week my focus was on Christmas gifts. I make cookie platters as gifts for work colleagues and usually include a homemade Christmas ornament. I baked 6 batches of cookies and got a good start on the ornaments. I am also part of a crochet/knitting group, and our oldest member is in her 90s. I put together a photo book from Mix Book of photos from everyone in the group to give her at our Christmas party. That sounds like a good, productive week.
And that's also a very thoughtful, personalized gift that probably, it wasn't a huge expense for you to make the book happen, but it's very personal. And you're not really adding a bunch of clutter to the 90-year-old's house. You're
Right?
providing her with a photo book, which isn't going to take up too much space, and she can look at it. And so that's a thoughtful gift. And I also like that you're giving consumable gifts to the people at the office who I'm sure are like, ooh, here come the Christmas cookies again.
Right?
They're probably like super happy about that. So it's nice that you think of them and provide, a bunch of cookies for everybody at your office. That's kind.
Um, let's see. Um,
Consumable gifts are the best.
J Phone says, this is, I think, a comment on how the dogs complicate things. She says,
Yes,
mine
yes.
too. It's a parkour course, keeps me flexible.
Yeah, I did the parkour and failed because I was trying to not step on the dog in the dark. And so I sort of launched myself to the right and ended up with my foot in the middle of a dog bed, and then it slid out from under me and twisted my knee in an angle that was not appropriate for a human body. And I was in a lot of pain and very injured for weeks after that. So, yeah, if you fail on the parkour dog course, you end up in the emergency room. So you need to pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Deborah says, I have many, many battery operated sensor lights all over my tiny place. They
Mm.
give a seamless flow of light as I move around.
That's excellent. That's really good.
Nice.
That's really it. It's like, sure you can walk around in the dark, but why? Why bother?
M says, my home failed.
Oh,
Now I'm in the process of moving furniture, which makes it worse. And she said moving the furniture was supposed to make the place safer. So she's unfortunately in that it gets worse before it
transition
gets
stage.
better
Yeah.
phase of
Hmm.
improving her home safety.
That's what it sounds like. Okay, well, keep at it. Don't leave yourself, scattered or chaotic any longer than you have to. Circle back in and keep working on it. I'm sorry. And it might be easier if you concentrate on the biggest problem in the room that you've created so far and resolve that one first, and then go about fixing the other places that you've worked on. But if there's something, I'm concerned that the moving the furniture around's made it worse. So I would resolve on resettling the furniture as quickly as you
As soon as
can so it's not a
possible.
problem for you. Yeah. We don't
S-
want you getting injured because of the tittle. That would be really bad.
Because of our safety and mobility tittle.
Yeah, that would be not good. Not what we're going for here.
CJ reports we had to get a large ladder out and down the rear exit stairs for an exterior repair. So
Oh,
I inadvertently completed the tittle by clearing everything that had piled up on the steps all throughout the staircase.
there you go. Because you couldn't have gone down with the ladder otherwise, right? But it shows you how, when you actually need to use the stairs for something important, imagine if you'd been trying to do something like that in an
In a
emergency.
big hurry. Yeah.
You wouldn't have been able to do it. And so, or you would have risked it and maybe gotten hurt. So I'm glad that it forced you to clear something out and made it, safer for you to traverse the stairs. And you just have to think of it as, just because those stairs are horizontal does not make them storage spaces. They are not shelves. They are a pathway, and they're not intended to hold things. And so you have to sort of think of them as lava and don't put anything on them. They can't, if you put something on the lava, it's going to die. So you got to not put stuff on there.
CEE says I've decluttered bags sitting on floor in my room near bed. It's very
Oh
good.
my gosh, yes, because if it's near the bed and then you're getting out of the bed and stepping on them, oh no, 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 that's slip and slide right there, waiting for you to happen. So good job. That was an excellent one to catch.
Connie says we're using glow-in-the-dark stars on all doors near the handles and
Oh,
smaller ones on the light switches. That's
that's
fun.
nice. That helps you from not blindly slapping the wall until you find the light switch in the dark, right? How many times have you done that? That's
Okay,
good.
we should get on to our main topic because we
Okay,
have prepared way too much content.
there's a lot of survey results.
And so let's see. I have to figure out where, there we are. The work of decluttering and organizing can be too overwhelming for one person to tackle. So we ask for help. But assistants who aren't sensitive to our goals, priorities, and emotional needs can create as many problems as they solve. Today, we're going to give advice on asking for help with your decluttering projects or offering your support or assistance to others who need it.
I know we all want free help with our chores, and we want it from the family that lives there or that did live there. We wish our adult children to make time to help us or for our spouse to cooperate with us more. And the truth is, they're not really a reliable source for help. One, they almost can't participate without judgment. They're too close to you and they feel like they can say awful things to you without consequence. Two, who wants to help with someone else's chores? You don't want to do your own chores, much less actively participate with someone else's chores. The person that's forced to work on someone else's chores will likely resent the arm twisting needed to get them there. They won't work well at it and will bail as soon as possible. Three, if they are roped into it, will they come with compassion and do things the way that you want? Likely not. They'll tell you what to do, make decisions for you, and tell you what to let go of so the job is easier on them. If you have a relative that can follow your lead, make no judgments, try not to change your mind about what to give up, and not get angry when you say no to them about something, you've got a unicorn on your hands and you should thank your lucky stars, truly. Most of our recruited family or close friends help doesn't work out anything like we'd hoped it would, and it causes way more problems than it solves. Mostly everyone goes away slightly annoyed and deciding that they're not going to try that again, and then you're stuck decluttering alone again. Of course, we did a survey on this one. You knew we would, and you guys did not disappoint us. You revealed every issue that happens when asking for help or when you offer to help and made all my points for me. So let's get into the survey results where you can tell me everything that I needed to say already.
Okay, we started by asking our audience to describe a situation in which someone successfully assisted you with a decluttering or organizing project,
Mm.
and then what factors contributed to the success of the collaboration. And Susan said, some years ago, I enlisted a wardrobe angel to help declutter my wardrobe. I think we spent 6 hours on the job, and she was just amazing. My goal was to get rid of bulk, and I had pre-sorted everything. We therefore started with coats and moved on from there.
Mm.
I had to try everything on and determined as I was paying to accept all recommendations. As a
Oh,
consequence, 5 bin bags of clothes left the house. Key was to find someone whose judgment I trusted and who I could work with. This was the hardest part. Sadly, this lovely lady doesn't do the job anymore, and I haven't managed to find anyone else.
you found someone whose judgment you trusted. That's the key. And I'm sure there's another organizer out there who can help. So you just have to chat with them until you find one who makes you feel comfortable partnering. I think that description is, she made a key point about she decided as she was paying that she was going to accept the recommendations. Not everybody can do that, but you gave
Right.
yourself a parameter. It was like, if the expert suggests it, I'm going to take their advice and let it go. And you ended up with a result that you were super happy with. So part of why that worked for you was your own willingness to partner with this person and follow their professional advice. And it worked out good for you in the end. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think finding, having a relationship of trust and then dis I think the key to Susan's success was deciding that she was going to accept all the recommendations.
Hmm.
Like
She was going to honor the advice.
I'm paying this expert who I trust.
Hmm.
Therefore,
I should listen to them.
yeah, it's a good use of your money to take the
Hmm.
recommendations of the expert you trust.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
Irish Michelle writes, I recently cleared out a garden shed, stuff moved from the house. and I got help from my friend who does the garden. He knew what the tools were, unlike me, and whether they were worth keeping. There were items I was unsure of, and he suggested getting rid of them as we had the skip. That's a dumpster.
Mm,
I don't miss or something similar. I don't
yeah.
miss any of it, and I'm grateful that it's another job done.
As before, you trusted his knowledge from using the tools and agreed that he knew more about it than you, except for anything that was sentimental out there. So I think, you decided that his advice about what to keep was something you were willing to trust and you let go of it. And then you haven't missed anything that you got rid of. So you did a good job and you got your shed back, which is awesome.
An anonymous respondent said, my sister helped me incorporate items from my mother-in-law's home into my house while I was also
Mm.
downsizing. I was able to box up my wedding dishes and other dish sets to pass on to other people. She was not judgmental and asked good questions. I could make decisions, and she helped with unpacking, packing, and rearranging storage in my new home.
So that was a lot of quality help she gave you, and so much time. It was really amazing. She asked the questions, she wasn't judgmental, and she let you make the choices. That's the unicorn I was talking about. Whoever anonymous is, your sister is the unicorn. So be nice to her cuz you are lucky that you have someone that can do that with you. That's awesome. And as long as you don't ask her to do it over and over and over a million times really rapidly, I'm sure she will help with other projects more later. But wow, that's really amazing. I'm so glad you had that help.
The Mags says, listening to the Clutter Fairy has helped me so much. From the advice of keeping a representative sample of things, to giving ourselves permission to declutter something and let go, to the encouragement of the small victories along the way. All has been so helpful. Also, having my daughter at my house and having her help me with decluttering has really helped, mainly because she also gave me permission to declutter things I thought she wanted.
That's super helpful. I have a client who says to me while she's looking at something, tell me that I'm never going to use this thing. And I cheerfully speak up saying, you're never going to use that. It's not your style, or it's not a color that you like, or something equally arbitrary. And she's able then to donate it. She just needs my reinforcement against her hesitation to let it go. And it's enough permission to release it. We both know it's an artificial process of talking her out of something, and we're doing it because she knows she needs to let it go and she's hesitating. She's very clear about what needs to stay, so I know that when she prompts me, she just needs a little bit of an extra push to let something go that she already knows should go. We do it in a sing-song style now. We've been doing it so long together, so it's like, tell me I don't need to keep this. Okay, you don't need to keep that. Like we're very silly about it now, but it totally works, and she's able to let it go. Thanks to the mags for recognizing some of our lessons and commentary that's been helpful to you. That's great, and I'm glad that your daughter and you have been able to work together on this and have that not be a problem for your relationship. That's excellent. It doesn't always work for everybody, and so she's at the house and she's helping you, and that's wonderful. Good
I
job.
think I think part of what's important about the um, giving yourself permission thing,
Mm, mm.
or have asking someone else to give you permission to get rid of the thing that you know you need to get rid of, is it helps to have that, you know, partner in crime, that it helps to have your accomplice
Right?
say, it's
You don't
really
need that.
okay. It's really okay. And there's sort of implied there, and I will be here for you if it turns out we're wrong. You know what I
Right?
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if years from now you think of something we got rid of that you wish you'd kept, well, we can share that,
Exactly.
you
And
know?
you're not making the decision in a vacuum. I think it helps just to feel like instead of one of you deciding, two of you makes it seem like it must be a better choice because you both agree.
Yeah,
And
there's a consensus.
it gives it a little bit more weight, right? Yeah, yeah.
And it's sort of a consensus. You're reaching a sort of consensus of reasonableness,
Mm-hmm.
um, to help you quell the sort of unreasonable and vague, maybe undefined fear
Mm,
that's on the other side saying, no, no, you better keep it. You really better
yeah.
keep it. There's,
Yeah.
there's,
There's
I
a
can't,
risk. There's a
I can't
risk.
tell you why, but you better keep it.
Right? Yeah. And if you trust the person that's helping you say, no, no, you're not going to need it. then it makes it a little bit easier to ignore that part.
Amanda says of her helpers, they were able to talk me through mental blocks that I would have gotten swept up in alone. They also kept me on track, working in a limited space rather than pulling out entire rooms of stuff.
A helper that gently keeps you on task and in the target area is helping keep the task from exploding into too big a project to be handled in the work time that you've allotted. And a lot of what I do is talk people through their decisions with no agenda. It's not my job to tell you what to keep, just to find out what you really think about something and reflect that back. Are you fishing for a reason to keep it versus having a real reason that it supports your family now? Are you feeling sentimental or are you just used to it being there? I help seeing past and around mental blocks, and it can be a big help for someone who gets stuck at the decision point. So, having a person that's able to have those conversations with you about when you get stuck in your decision making and sort of talk you past that roadblock is super valuable. I'm glad that you have somebody that's able to do that with you.
Letter C says, a young relative, 25 years younger than me, came over to see which of the things I had put aside for donation could be sold for profit. I told her we'd split the profit. She took most of it, asked, what if it didn't sell? I said, donate it all. It helped that she pushed me to search for more things and she took it out of the home.
It's really great that she was willing to take it out. She took the potential value away. And if she made money, great. And if she didn't, it got donated. So the decision was on her by once she took it out of the house, which is great. I'm curious if you ever split any money from a sale with her and if you ever missed anything once it was gone. I was thinking about that. Like, I wonder if you have since thought, what, I shouldn't have given that up. And also if she actually went through with any of the sales stuff or if she just had a moment of possibility and then ended up donating instead.
Right.
I'm just curious how she reacted around the work that it took to sell the stuff. So that was what I was thinking about as I was reading that. But I'm glad that she was willing to do it, and the fact that she took it out and put it in her car and drove away with it meant you couldn't take it back. It meant the chore got done. It was out of the house, and you didn't have to go. And so it was a great thing for her to do for you. That's awesome.
All right. Next, we asked our viewers and listeners to describe a situation in which you asked for help with decluttering or organizing, but were unsatisfied with the results.
Mm.
And then the follow-up question was what factors contributed to dissatisfaction? The first response came from an anonymous respondent who said, I had a professional service provider who helped prep a house for a move and help with unpacking in a new home. I had organized bins with seasonal decor that on unpacking were rearranged in a way that made no sense for me. Checking in before making changes would have been appreciated. I had to reassemble these groupings that had been labeled.
This is really a common mistake, actually. When I notice a pile of stuff that's all in one place, but it seems unrelated to me, I know I need to pause. If I want to start reorganizing a collection of stuff that seems unrelated to me, I may be about to undo a category or a sorting pile that I just don't know what the common theme is for yet. So before I start dismantling a grouped pile, I say, before I start sorting this, does this pile mean something to you? Was it built on purpose? And just yesterday, I opened a basket and the things inside looked like a big mishmash of chaos to me. I immediately wanted to start sorting it out, but I handed it to the client and said, will you check this basket and tell me if this grouping has a purpose or if I can start sorting it out? She looked at it and said that these are all various projects in process. It was craft related. So I was glad that I'd asked. And instead of sorting it out, I needed to add the various pieces to a projects in process collection that we already had going. And so I was glad that I stopped to ask before I destroyed the various project contents by pulling them all apart. She would have been really mad at me later if I'd done that. So, it was good that I stopped and asked. And the person that unwound the Christmas decor sorting created a problem for you because they didn't stop to ask why, are these already sorted the way that you want? Would have been the easiest question to ask. Is this all sorted how you wish, or do you want me to redo it? But I think organizers do that a lot because they don't see the obvious. They don't The relationship isn't obvious to them when they look at the sorted pile, and so they think there's not one. But the possibility is there's always one. You just don't know how it got sorted. So you got to ask. It's true.
Okay, let's see. Um,
Amanda.
Thank you. Amanda said, I've had people try to talk me out of decluttering things I no longer wanted.
Err.
As a child, my mother would bring me to the basement to go through my old toys. Then she couldn't bear to part with them for various reasons. But it's from so and so, but it's so
So
cute.
cute. Oh my God. You don't know how many times a week I hear the comment, but it's so cute. It's like, I know. That isn't the question I'm asking. I find this often, especially between parents and kids. Parents think they're saving it for the kids, like the kids feel the same way they do about any item that they've got stashed somewhere. The kids usually don't, and much to the parent's surprise, they're not actually keeping it for the kids. They're really keeping kids' items for their own memories. It's their own keepsakes. I tell children to agree to take the items away and then donate whatever they don't want on the back end. They can clear it out now, or they can do it when their parents downsize or pass away. So you might as well do it now. It's important to ask people to help you who won't try to talk you out of your decluttering decisions. The only time I question clients about what they're giving away is if I think they're doing it out of frustration or overwhelm without thinking it through clearly. I have seen that a few times where people start to get aggravated, they're tired, we haven't taken a break. The stuff that they're looking at gives them bad memories, and they start to sort of
You get a
rapidly
very
throw things away.
emotional, you get a
Yeah, yeah.
meltdown.
Get a
Yeah,
meltdown kind of response where they're
yeah.
just like throwing stuff out. And so I usually try to stop them and question them a little bit more gently about it just to see, is this really what you want? Or do we need to take a break right now? So, I, yeah, you don't want somebody else questioning your choices. You do want to, if you decide to let it go, you don't need somebody actively trying to talk you out of it while it's there. So there you go.
Okay, I want to share a couple comments before we get too far
Okay. Yeah.
away
Yeah. I
from
see a lot going
what
on.
from what they were about. The chat is very lively.
Yeah.
Um, M says, I am good at helping others declutter. Mystery is why I do not remember to ask myself the same questions and give the encouragement to myself.
Oh, right. Like you need to have the same compassion with yourself that you do with the people that you're supporting. So maybe it helps. Maybe you could think of it as an exercise, like when you're trying to do your own decluttering, imagine somebody in the room. Imagine, one of your friends over there in the room and start talking to them out loud. Like, what would you say to that person if it was their stuff and not yours? How would you coach them and talk them through it? And just pretend like you're having a conversation with somebody else. And let it be about your stuff that you're having the conversation and see what you can see if that'll help you do it for yourself. You definitely need to apply the same compassion to yourself that you do to others.
Dawn says, my husband is happy to help me declutter. However, his idea is loading everything into the trash.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys have heard me say this before. That's the I'm overwhelmed, therefore I'm throwing it all away option. I think of that as the
Yeah,
nuclear option.
right. Well,
So I'll solve this problem by throwing it all out of my face. And
Dawn
like,
goes on to say, which is why I don't let him help me.
yeah, exactly.
However, he's
Exactly.
still happy to haul out things when I tell him specifically what is to go.
That's good. No decision making. You're just the strong man. That's awesome. You need the help. It saves you.
Um, Amanda says, my partner came up with a great idea to clear out our large basement area by area to paint and waterproof the floor and walls and declutter as we
Mm.
go. So nice to hear after I suggested the exact same thing 3 years ago. But I'll shut up and accept the help.
Yes, you will, sister. Do not blow up that thing. If it's his idea in air quotes, if it's his great idea now, okay. If it took him 3 years to forget air quotes again that you suggested it, and now he's thinking of it, awesome. And then it means he's going to be in on it and he's going to participating and just smile and politely make it happen. And then when it's all done, you can go, I suggested this 3 years ago. But don't say it until after it's done. You don't want to blow his momentum. So go team go.
Samudra says, I used to call my mother to ask for permission to get rid of something. Doing
Mm.
that for myself has been a steep learning curve.
Right? Because you used to get the backup from your mother. That's I get it. I get like that
Yeah.
would seem like the expert, right? Like surely mom has lived longer and she knows what's going on, right? Yeah, I totally get that. I do. And so, maybe you can substitute with calling a friend and asking for permission instead of calling your mom, right? Call one of your girlfriends and say, okay, just like my client does when I'm sitting there, when they say out loud, why not? Tell me I don't need this. Tell me I'm never going to use this. Tell me, we're usually looking at craft materials and it's super easy for me to go, that's not your style, that's not your color, that's not
Yeah.
that's not ever going to come to the top of your list, right? So 100%. So yeah, call a friend and ask for the support. It'll feel familiar to you if you do it, right? You used to call your mom and now you call and talk to somebody else and have a conversation. It'll feel more familiar to you. That's good.
Okay, let's go on. We'll come back for some more comments.
Okay.
Evelyn says, I have asked my husband to help me with decluttering, but he doesn't want to do it. He thinks it's boring, that I don't let go of enough things, and he doesn't have that much stuff anyway. It's all mine, which is probably true.
Decluttering is a chore for sure. Expecting it to be fun instead of work is unrealistic, husband. You two have different thresholds for how much is okay, how much stuff is okay. And he can release more than you, it sounds like. So if most of the stuff is yours, I'm guessing that he can release more than you. If he's telling you it's all your stuff and it's boring to work on, then I'm getting this is not a way that he is willing to be helpful to you. I'm sorry, as I can see that you asked because you want his support, but I think if you twisted his arm to help, he wouldn't last long and you wouldn't feel the support you're hoping for on this. He's not a good helping hand on this project as he's not willing to work on just this, on this just to be supportive to you. You have to use his help on something else and find another person to hire it or hire it out ultimately if you don't find another friend to help. Ultimately, you'll be more successful on your project with someone else than trying to use him. I know wives get super annoyed when the husband doesn't want to help them do the things around the house and when they say things like it's all yours anyway and why don't you just it's like that is not really the kind of help that you want, but you can't mold them into the kind of help that you want if they're not willing to do it. So
Right.
we all wish for a supportive spouse that you know isn't judgmental, that talks you through, supports you through decisions, doesn't try to do things on your behalf or for you, it doesn't give you advice or like you want somebody that's going to be there and be supportive and do what you ask them to do and not have any response, and your spouse is the least likely person to do that. So yeah, it's a wish that we have that we don't always get. So there you go.
Yeah. I would also, for those who feel so inclined, I would also maybe push back a little on the it's all yours anyway,
Mm-hmm.
because like, is he may be sort of relying on traditional gender roles, so he thinks the bed linens are yours, the towels are yours,
Mm.
the kitchen towels and dishcloths are yours, the
Mm-hmm.
cutlery is yours, the pantry stuff is yours, because you know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah, yeah.
sort of disavowing responsibility for
For
stuff that
some of that stuff,
you
yeah.
could very reasonably share ownership of.
Yes. But the trick is if you cede it to them, you have to be willing to live with their results. And what really people really want is cooperative venture
Right.
overall. And, if your husband isn't willing to go there and you get him to do something on his own, then you can't be bitching about the results you get. And so,
But I'm just saying, if you need help clearing out, the linen
yeah,
closet
they can
is
come and help pull stuff
brimming
down and,
over, that is not a you job.
right.
That's
It's
a
it's appropriate for both.
the two of you share this house job, right?
And everybody's using the sheets. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, Lise says, I had asked for help from my children with decluttering and organizing, and all you could hear were crickets. Being ignored was beyond frustrating, and I became mad and ended up decluttering and organizing on my own. I decided if they were not happy with what I had done, they should have participated. Turns out they did not care.
And there's another example of asking people who are not willing to help with your chores. They've got their own clutter, and trying to help you is one chore too many. I know parents want their kids to help. They feel like they deserve the kids' support and they should be getting caretaking help from the kids. They also trust the kids' advice more than someone they don't know, and free is very cost effective. Typically, a child is not willing to help unless they are organized people who find decluttering fun. The luck of the draw on that one. Maybe your kid is organized and has been dying to clear out your house. The only issue is that kid is likely to make you mad because they won't listen well to what you want and they'll convince you to release things you want to keep. So either get no help or you get interfering argumentative help that makes you mad. So better to ask a friend or hire out a professional truly.
Okay, let's go on to Leslie, who says, instead of helping me find my way and systems that work for me, they were doing what they do in their own house and were judging and shaming. I guess that
Mm.
is the difference between a friend and a professional organizer. The pro will work with you at your level and develop systems for you that work long term.
Absolutely. Fire that helper immediately. I'm just telling you, my goodness, no shaming or judging allowed. That's the exact opposite from what you want to get from somebody helping you. And you're right that a pro will work with you to develop what makes sense to you and not just to them. So, yeah, clearly the wrong helper was chosen and you need to get rid of that person 100%.
Okay, I want to jump to our third question. This was where people successfully gave about people who successfully gave assistance. We
Okay.
asked the audience to describe a situation in which you successfully assisted someone else with a decluttering or organizing project. What factors contributed to the success of your efforts? Let's start with Suzanne. This was a great one. It's very long, and we're gonna abbreviate it slightly, but I encourage you to go take a look and read Suzanne's entire response because it's really good. Suzanne says, someone I didn't know very well asked me to help them. It was clear the person was overwhelmed and struggling with everything. Factors that help me to be of service and make a difference for the other person. One, I ask what area they would like me to work on first, and that's the area I started in. Two, I asked if they had a vacuum so that I could begin by vacuuming. It needed it very badly. I was wearing socks, and vacuuming for me is like washing a sink before I add soapy water and wash dishes. Three, I had a positive attitude. I was able to think clearly, had a plan in my head for the steps I would take. I worked steadily but at reasonable pace. I asked the question was when I was unsure about anything. And then she says, when we went to work on the entirety of her clothes on a bed, I suggested to her that we put like with like clothes categories. She was happily surprised at how much easier it was for her to deal with the clothing. After all the above words, I can summarize to go in with a positive attitude of being of service with what they choose for me to help with,
Mm,
be compassionate and kind, as well as encouraging. They are the person who is brave and overwhelmed enough to ask me for help. Have a good sleep and be fed and hydrated before arriving to help.
true that.
Support and don't try to control at all. Be non-judgmental is paramount. Have
Mm.
fun or make some fun. Do good and be good. Listen to and hear the person you're helping.
Suzanne, you sound like a great helper.
Definitely.
Truly. Going where the client wants, being positive and non judgmental, listening and hearing the person you're helping is their house, and you have to do what they're willing to do. Even if you can see a clearer vision or a larger target than they can see, you have to do what they're ready to do. And I do this with my clients all the time. I have a plan, and some people, when I'm working someplace, I usually have a pathway that of what I'm going to do when. And some people can go with my plan. Some people trust the expertise, and some people are not sure. And they think that they're hiring me to help them do what they think their plan is. And if they can't be persuaded that, well, here's an alternative that I might do it this way. If they're not comfortable with that, then I just need to do what they think I should do. And the truth is, sometimes we do it and they realize that what they're asking me to do isn't the shortest, fastest path, and we course correct later. And sometimes um, they have to do it the way they have it in their head in order to feel comfortable and able to focus they can only envision the project a certain way and they can't take any outside input. And so it's okay, then I'll do what you want me to do. And that's the difference between having a professional help you or not. So, yeah, like I can adjust if I feel like based on how you're responding to me that's I need to do it the way you see it. It's like it all gets stuff done. And if it's not the shortest fastest path and I can't talk you into the shortest fastest path, then so what? We'll do it your way and it'll just take longer and it'll still get done. So, I think it's really important you have the right attitude about it and you are willing to work with where they are. And I particularly want to say the advice about being having a good night's sleep before and being fed and hydrated before you start. That means that you're going to have the clearest and best fueled mind to actually be supportive and compassionate. And I think that I would hire you in a minute to come and work on a job. It sounds like you do a great job. So good for you.
Suzanne said there's some more stuff that I left out where Suzanne talks about, making sure she's taking care of herself while she's giving
Mm,
someone else help. And that
mm-hmm.
is really important.
Yeah, yeah, all of that.
Don't, don't, uh, you know,
Don't
and in that vein,
suffer.
I'd say, don't agree to come work for 3 hours if you know that you're going to run out of steam at 2,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know?
Set your own parameters for cooperation,
Yeah.
right? 100%.
Deborah says, I listen to them and find out what their goals are. Sometimes the things that are glaringly obvious to me don't bother them at
Mm,
all.
mm-hmm.
I make suggestions about what might be the best things to start with, accessibility, putting things away that have a home already. Something that I have seen a lot is just pure mess. What I mean by that is a jug of laundry detergent haphazardly toppled over on the floor that they just step over until they need it, for example.
I know, right? That would drive me crazy too.
I often just line things up quickly by putting them together in categories and squaring piles in the first walkthrough of a place as we're talking. And I'm making mental notes of what's where. Space is a serious issue in small European apartments and
Mm.
even in bigger ones with no storage at all. I have to be creative about what goes where. The first visit, I talk about a plan for the next visit. I also ask what they want me to make. I also ask if they want me to make something go away if they're waffling. Usually they say yes.
These are all really good strategies. Clearing the pathways, squaring up piles first, straightening up messes is a perfect place to start. Just be sure it's not purposeful mess before you start putting it away, just like I was
Right?
talking about earlier. You need
Yeah.
to know if that pile is a conscious pile. And really, then you just have to pivot to okay, this is a meaningful pile that we need to keep together. So, how can we store this as a unit somewhere that's not in a pile in the middle of the floor? Like, is there a way that we can go park this somewhere else so that you still have all this stuff together, but it's not in your way? And I'm sure that everybody's dealing with smaller spaces means that storage is a premium, and the amount of backstock and extra things you store is limited, and so there's always a lot of I'm sure there's a lot of decluttering that has to happen that in an American style home there'd probably be room for it all, but the small European apartments force you to declutter sooner rather than later because you don't have the room to ignore it in the corner. So good on you. Sounds like you're doing a good job. And frankly, I know that you say later that you don't charge for your services, but I think that you should a
Yeah.
little bit. Just
Deborah,
saying.
Deborah could definitely go pro.
Right?
Yeah.
You're providing serious service, girl.
Jenna says, another lady and I decluttered and organized the ladies' area of our church.
Mm.
Even though I am a minimalist and she enjoys having many items, we worked well together because we respected each other and were able to compromise and meet in the middle.
Good job on the teamwork. Anybody not stepping up to do this project has no right to complain when someone else does the job. So, beyond some instructions from the church administrator type people, those that showed up get to decide. That's church volunteer rules, I believe. So, don't quote me, but I would say if you show up to do the work, to do the volunteer work at a place like the church or some other volunteer situation, if you get to make the decisions, and it's likely that the decisions haven't been being made because nobody feels like they have agency in order to make the choice. But like I said, I think if you show up to do the work, they clearly need the work because they don't have somebody paid on staff trying to do it. And so make some decisions and go with it. It's not gonna be a disaster, and you're trying to do good work, and it'll be fine. And I'm proud
Irish
of you guys to do it together.
Irish Michelle says, I have often helped my mum to sort and clean rooms in her house.
Mm,
She has the chance to talk about her items, where she got them, whether they're significant, etc., and it helped make it clearer what stuff could go. The trick is not to rush the process,
mm.
and some things went after time. She hasn't missed any items that were donated.
It sounds like you're working at mom's perfect speed, and I'm sure she appreciated telling the stories. Just bearing quiet witness is sometimes enough to allow the release of an item. And, she's telling her daughter about the things that were in her life. And so she's getting to reminisce and share and feel good about that and then release after the fact. And so good for you to take the time. You've been doing it with her, it sounds like, for a while, and you're making that process much less stressful for your mother, and you're minimizing the amount of stuff that you have to deal with after she's gone. So, good job for you. Doing good.
Okay, let's do one more in this one for this question. M says, I have organized small portions of people's stuff, a closet or two, a drawer, things like that. In all cases, they were thrilled with the results. The way
Mm.
I did it was study the person's habits that allowed the disorganization and compare that with how the space needed to function. If the habit was to dig, then the organization had to be to make each thing visible and readily grabbable. If the habit was to toss, then the solution was to make target areas with categories to receive the items. If the habit was to roam around the house, then the items needed a landing spot where they were usually used.
Great insight into discussing accommodating habits and how to constructively react to them and provide real organization. It sounds like you're providing real value for people. And if you're able to do that because you're concentrating on a small space, that's fine. That's plenty enough for you to interview them and understand how it's working and how it's breaking down and creating some solutions on a small scale. And it's less painful for them, and then it allows them to be willing for you to come back and do something else. So, good job.
Okay, I want to go on to question number 4 because we are running out of time fast. This could have
Okay.
been 2 shows. We got so many great survey responses.
Yeah.
We asked our For our last question, we asked our survey respondents to describe a situation in which you offered help with decluttering or organizing, but you didn't achieve the desired results.
Mm.
What factors contributed to coming up short of success? Michelle said, I am dying to help my friend declutter her house after she confessed she can't get into one room of it as it's so full of stuff. She just isn't ready yet, so I just reassured her that I'm here when she's ready.
She may be feeling embarrassed about it. So you might tell her up front, no judgment, and you'll take directions and make suggestions to help her. Saying it in advance might ease some of her misgivings about letting the help come over. She may just be, a lot of my clients take a long time to call me the first time because they sort of have to they have to get more desperate than they feel ashamed in order to make the phone call. And so it may be that she's just feeling embarrassed about having you see it. And if you can sort of talk about that neutrally in advance, it might make her more willing to let you come now.
I recall a person who came to the very first meetup we held
Oh my
at
gosh.
at the library, the Clayton Library Carriage House.
Oh God, yes.
But I remember a person who came to that very first meetup and then came to most of the meetups for the next year and a half before she hired you the first time.
Yeah.
It took her a year and a half to get comfortable enough with you to let you come to her house.
And be willing to face the embarrassment. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Let's
Gosh,
see.
I'd forgotten about the carriage house. That was a long time ago. Ooh.
An anonymous respondent said, I offered a friend help with organizing medical paperwork during a difficult time. I didn't realize how important this task was for her to do herself. She redirected me to helping in her yard. I've learned to ask, what can I do to help you? I try to offer 1 or 2 organizational options that she could ponder and take action when she feels ready.
So the takeaway there is to be flexible and let them direct what they feel comfortable having you do. Anything you do is one less thing for them, so let them choose. And if you have a good if they have a good experience with you, they might be willing to let you do other things once they trust the experience more. And about the medical paperwork, they may have felt it was a privacy thing too. They might have been uncomfortable with you looking at medical history. So it may not have been so much that she didn't think you could do it or that she needed to do it herself. It may have been that she just felt suddenly like, ooh, if they're in this paperwork, they're going to be looking at all of my medical illnesses and medical history. And it may be, you know, it might have been unnerving for them to think that. So don't assume that they were turning you away for another reason. It might have just been a privacy thing.
The mag says, I once offered my help to my mother, who is a hoarder. She did not take me up on my offer, and she continues to hoard. I cannot help her if she does not want it. I am sad I could not help her.
It's very hard to help a hoarder. They often don't allow help until they're forced to by outside agencies or unplanned circumstances. Even so, they find others helping to be a challenge. It's part of the mental disorder around the perceived value or the importance of all the stuff. I'm sorry that she won't let you help at all, and that may be true until she passes or someone reports her to Adult Protective Services, like, say, an EMT that comes to the house to help her in an emergency. Sometimes that's the only thing that forces someone who is truly a hoarder to make
To make any
meaningful
change
change
at all.
happen.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Lee says, last year my daughter and I went to assist my mom in decluttering her apartment. This was a challenge and hard to witness. When we started, she was amazing in releasing items, and then she started to backpedal and became very prickly in her attitude. She did release a lot, but where I thought she said she did not want X, Y, and Z, she started holding on to things that really did not help her in my eyes. I ended up leaving with the thought she has way deeper issues and, I hate to say, a brokenness that I cannot fix. She continues to avoid things, and I have to just let her be.
Based on what you've described here, I would say that you likely worked sessions that were not too long for you and your daughter, but they were too long for your mother. It sounds like she ran out of decision making steam and lost the ability to be objective. If you took it slower and you did shorter sessions and there was more time in between, some time in between them, she could release a bit, adjust to it being gone, and then be ready to release a bit more the next time. As adult kids, we expect our parents to have the energy and focus that we have, ignoring their physical and emotional limits. We don't want to know that they're not the same as we've always known them to be. We also forget that it's easy for us because we're not attached to any of the things, but mom is definitely attached to her stuff, and those decisions are much less objective and more sentimental. So it's a harder decision process for her. She may have broader issues, as you say, no doubt, but you might still be able to make some headway if you do it in shorter bites with time in between if you ever want to try again. You may be fried and you may feel like it's not safe for you to try that again, but if you ever feel like you do, I would just suggest, you don't go in there expecting to work the amount of work that you can do, and
Right.
you shorten it way down and see if that allows you to make some more headway, getting some things done before your mother runs out of steam.
I think people who are trying to collaborate on decluttering projects with family members or close friends should probably agree on a safe word. You know,
Mm,
when I say this word, it means we're done.
for the day, right?
Yeah.
Like,
We'll allow ourselves 10 minutes to clean up, but when the safe word comes, that's when the 10 minutes of cleanup starts and our
the
session is
project
done
is
for the
out.
day, right?
Yeah, and I suppose if the mom and the daughter don't live in the city where the mother is and they're making a trip to come and
Oh, right,
work,
right. That's a
there's
different
some
situation.
incentive like that
Sure.
you want to work longer, but that doesn't change the fact that the mom has an emotional and energy limit that
Her
she's going to
threshold is
hit.
much lower. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, maybe you make trips more frequent and don't stay as long, and you never try to work. You put a whole bunch of more breaks in between your day, and you don't try to get as much done as you would do in your own house. You aim for smaller targets.
Let's see. One, we're going to do one more, and then we're running out of time.
Okay.
Uh, Deborah, this one's from Deborah. She says, her her fail. She was a hoarder who couldn't live in her one-room flat except for using the bathroom and a two-seat sofa.
Mm.
Wouldn't get rid of anything except for very obvious garbage, and even then, it took all of my patience. A tiny wrapped candy that is half melted has to be meticulously peeled away from its teeny tiny wrapper, so each can be recycled separately. I'm sorry,
Oh
I'm laughing,
God.
but
But
um,
yeah, I
it was
recognize that.
agonizing. However, I did manage to clear a 2 foot by 2 foot space in 2 hours. As I left, I spotted the corner of what was a piano. In a one-room apartment, I couldn't see a full piano.
Oh wow.
Since I have never charged for my services, I felt it was a lot of my time spent with the little results. She needs a hoarding specialist.
I think you're right. She is at a level where a specialist would be the best for her. Sometimes you can find larger or easier things to do to be helpful and save the candy separating for her to do on her own. She finds that very important and not agonizing. So you can sort and leave her with the fine processing to do. I'm going to sort with your help and then make those meaningful stacks with similar processing needed. You can put those in open boxes with labels of how she wants to further process it. Like, here's a category of things that she wants to separate the parts for recycling, and here's the parts that she needs to filter the paper for. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can
Yeah.
label what else she wants to do to them, and then you can better stack them and straighten them up in her flat. You might ask if she misses seeing the piano and if she would like to uncover it. Sometimes the incentive helps to motivate making motion there. If you want to try to help again, you might suggest sorting based on how she wants to handle it without you actually taking anything out this pass. Then you can let her try to work on stuff on her own or agree to help her process a specific box later. And that way you might make some headway or you might not. And it's up to you whether you want to try, but it's a possibility that you can aim for her. And with the understanding that I think you're right, somebody that's living with that small of a resting space is truly drowning in that space and is a hoarder and needs that kind of support.
Okay, we are
All
just
right.
about out of time, so we need to talk about next week. Sorry, get the right thing in front of me again. Um, we will be back next week, Tuesday, December 2nd. And we are now deep into the consumerism time of year, we're going to talk about shopping. We're going to talk about
Everybody's favorite thing to do.
maybe bucking some of the shopping trends. What maybe we'll talk about some clutter conscious gift giving and getting,
Mm.
and also just talk about shopping more generally. I also want to announce the title of the next book for our book club.
Book club.
We're going to discuss this one on February 24th, 2026. The book is called New Order, a decluttering handbook for creative folks and everyone else by Faye Wolf. Wolf spelled the usual way, one F. I should say the usual way when referring to the animal, one F. Human wolves sometimes have two O's or two F's or
Right,
something,
right.
you know. Okay, let's see. I'm going to have to read the weekly tittle because
Yes,
I
you are.
finished this at the last possible moment. This one is called Can I Get a Hand? This week's assignment is to ask for a modest bit of help in your decluttering and organizing efforts. Reflect on a simple way in which someone else in your life thwarts your decluttering efforts with their habits or behavior. Some examples. Your sister offers you all of her cast-off clothing, even stuff that she knows you'd never wear. Your husband routinely takes off his shoes and socks in the living room and leaves them there. Your teenage son leaves fast food bags and wrappers everywhere except the garbage can.
Like every teenage son ever.
Right? Not me. Write a statement of the problem that this habit or behavior causes for you. Try to limit yourself to language that's positive, upbeat, and non-judgmental. And finally, have a conversation with the person or people whose habit or behavior are causing you trouble. Ask for the help that you need,
There you go.
and then come back and tell us about it next week.
It's an exercise and asking for what you need. We hope that we've given you some better parameters around it, and so that you can be more judicious and thoughtful about who you ask, and you can surrender the hope that people who clearly are not going to be helpful come and help you. We don't want you struggling to try to talk your husband into doing something that is only going to make the both of you miserable. You might as well shortcut that right out and go straight to somebody else who's actually going to be helpful. Okay.
All right. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'd love for you to join us live. To get notifications about upcoming events, we invite you to join the meetup group by visiting cfhou.com/meetup. You can also follow us on Facebook by visiting cfhou.com/Facebook, or join our mailing list by visiting cfhou.com/subscribe. We love to hear from you, so please keep your questions, comments, and topic suggestions coming on Facebook, YouTube, or anywhere that you find us. You can always reach us through our website at clutterfairyhouston.com.
And I'm going to say one more time, you can always find the other videos at cfhou.com/YouTube. That takes you straight to the YouTube channel. We really appreciate that you like our videos and make comments on them. That is very helpful. And if you'd like to subscribe so that you're reminded when stuff is coming up, please do that. And thanks so much for joining us today. We really love having you here. And we hope that you got something out of talking about helping hands. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.